Jason, as it is each and every week, the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast is brought to the good people by Budget Blinds of Lee Summit.
Budget Blinds!
They are, Jason, our
robot shade overlords. All hail our robot shade overlords.
And they're at it again, our good friends. They are giving back to the community. From now through December 6th, they are collecting donations for Lee Summit Social Services. We have a special event coming up. We partnered with them. It's Story Time with Santa. That event comes up on December 6th. Bring your donations to Budget Blinds on December 6th between 6 and 8. Bring your kids. You can hear some stories, some of your favorite holiday stories from Santa, and you get to have your pictures with him.
There you go. And they're not even done.
No, they keep going.
So from the 1st through the 6th, they're going to accept necessity donations for Hope House. And you should go to their Facebook page and deal with that. You know, this time of year, Hope House is always in need of, because the people who go there without a lot of planning, and they're often without a lot of really important stuff that they need to get through their day. So you can donate those necessities to help those folks out as well. So they're not helping just one valued community partner. They're helping two at the same time. That is amazing. And this is why we hail our robot shade overlords.
And we talk about them because we love what they do in the community and for the community. So I want to take a moment just to do a little bit for them and their actual business. Remember that automated shades provide a safer environment for children and pets due to their cordless nature, and those programmable features, they allow you to use heating or cooling only when you need it for maximum energy efficiency. So go see our friends at Budget Blinds of Lee Summit. Tell them Jason and Nick sent you.
Oh, hell. Hello again, and welcome to Lee Summit Town Hall, a weekly podcast about what you can do to make a difference. I am Jason Norbury, and as always, I'm joined by a man who is not one of the people in the new Royals ownership group. It's Nick Parker, the publisher.
That group was so big. Why couldn't they find room for me?
I think they could have been like, hey, guys, look, just get your name on the bill, link to Lee Summit, or Lee Summit Town Hall podcast, and we'll give you a couple bucks. We'll give you $350.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Where's our $350?
Why couldn't they make room for me? I could have been a minority owner.
Right. I mean, look, tickets to one game a year, free parking pass, for here's our buck. Here's our money. We go. It seems simple to me.
And nobody made that call. I don't know why they didn't give me that call.
I believe Mr. Sherman's off on the wrong foot with us.
Yeah.
He's going to have to, I believe the only way to make it better, World Championship.
And he should probably make some tacos.
True. Link to Lee Summit is the source for all the news you need about our very fine city. And our unofficial sponsor today is perineum sunning, which is the new fad sweeping the nation. And if you think I'm going to describe to you what that is, you're wrong. You're going to have to Google it yourself.
I got nothing.
I know. Really, actually, I think the dead silence is the only appropriate response.
I'm really not sure why I even allow you to write these things.
This is what the danger of you not looking at that section of the podcast running order before we start.
Yeah. Our gag is that I never look. I want to be surprised. Not today. I'm regretting this decision.
You were surprised.
Oh, boy. Jason, I want to start off the show. I want to tell you about something important.
It's been a relatively slow week of news, or actually been pretty much a slow month of news. So I think it's time for some important news. Why don't you tell me what's up?
Today, I took my patronage to a local business, which is important. We have Shop Small Saturday coming up this weekend. I went to Main Slice today for lunch, and I ordered the Taco Calzone.
All right, so I have to ask a very important question. Well, two, actually, very important questions. One, and probably the actual most important question, how was it?
Glorious.
And secondly, and I want to make sure we're clear on this, was there a hamburger calzone?
I believe they have a cheeseburger pizza, yes.
They have a cheeseburger pizza. Do they have a hamburger
calzone? I don't think they do.
All right, so what are we learning from this?
Tacos greater than burgers.
There you go. And I want to make another point about this relative relationship between tacos and burgers. This week is Thanksgiving. So what are we going to have? is it traditional Americans? What are millions and millions of Americans going to sit down to on Thursday afternoon or evening?
Turkey.
The turkey. When you have and one of the greatest things about Thanksgiving is leftovers.
That's true.
The leftover turkey, the mash, the whole bit, right? Do you ever make turkey burgers out of your leftover turkey? No, you don't. Could you make, and might you have made in the past, leftover turkey tacos? Oh yes.
Can we take a second here?
Mm-hmm.
I want to give a confession, because this has become a little bit of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Taco versus burger with some of our listeners.
Hey, look, they started this fight.
Can I just make a confession? I want full disclosure and transparency in this. I've made leftover turkey tacos. I've done it
this week.
By the way, I'm gonna give this out, guys. Grab a tortilla shell. Grab some leftover turkey. Grab some leftover cranberry sauce. My mother makes a branded cranberry sauce that is unbelievable. Then add some fresh guacamole, add some cilantro, and you got yourself a leftover taco that will knock your socks off.
I mean, you listed all of the ingredients from tortilla to cilantro, and all of them were good, and together sounds fantastic. So there we go. I think we have proven once again, as we have been doing every week, tacos better than burgers.
There we go. All right, well, let's move into some real things, Jason. The first thing I want to really talk about is a story that you and I brought up probably about a month ago.
Almost 2 months ago.
Almost
actually.
2 months ago. This concerns the Mid-Continent Public Library System. And some of the transgender programming that they had brought into, and it was temporarily halted because there were some complaints. It was going to be reviewed by the board, but then the decision was brought to bring it back before it even got to the board. And we thought maybe that story was done, Jason. And I'm bringing this up because I think it is a continuing conversation in our community about equity, about diversity, about inclusion, about representation. The story's not over.
Sadly, no, it's not. So just to pick up where you are, one of the library board members was from Platte County, wrote an editorial in one of their local publications. I would say making some pretty, I don't even know what the right word is here, but really angry, venomous stuff at the Trans 101 program, invoking all sorts of what I would call, just really not kind language at all. And then she called upon people to come to the library board meeting, which was last week, and give their views on this. And a number of people came and spoke in opposition to the continuation of this program, and a number of people came and spoke in favor of the program and the work that it's doing. And really nothing else happened at the meeting. I mean, this was just a conversation point. Probably during public comments, people called her out for making divisive and bigoted comments, and other people came in and said, no, I agree with what she had to say. And that was out there. And so at the end, there was no outcome from the library board. There was no motion on the action. There was no action to be taken on the subject matter. However, at the end of it, after the meeting, the board president did release a statement that said that we keep, I'll actually read the statement or the quote from it here that appeared in the pitch. The MCPL board continues to hear comments about its recent library programming providing factual information about transgender issues. While individual board members may have publicly shared personal opinions about the program, these are not the position of the library board. And then the pitch goes on in their article. They apparently got hold of an email from the library director basically saying something to that same effect. Those are not the stated positions of the board, and we anticipate that the board will manage this on an internal basis.
I think it's probably pretty clear, Jason, on the way that you and I just set up this segment about how you and I feel on a personal level. But the reason I bring it up, and I wanted it on our rundown for today's show, wasn't really about what my opinion was or what your opinion was. I think the reason is because it goes to the crux of this show. If you want to make a difference, if you want to help shape the programming that comes in things like this that are done with public dollars, with representatives from the public sphere, this is the kind of thing you can be involved with.
Right.
This is the kind of thing where you can make your voice heard, and you can make a difference in the things that happen in your backyard.
Absolutely. So then there are two ways I think you can do that. One is you can do like these people did, go to the board meetings, state your position, talk about those issues that are important to you. In this particular instance, the members of the board, in this case in Platte County specifically, are appointed by the Platte County Commissioners. And I think there are 2 members on the board from each of those various counties, and there are 2 Platte County members. So if you want to have an influence on whether you think this library board member should remain on there or not, you can communicate directly to those who have the appointment power and have influence that way. So you have opportunity to have those kinds of influences at 2 levels. Now, I will say this. You're going to be way more effective at that, talking to the county commissioners, if you are a registered voter in Platte County.
Well, that's true.
But I mean, and so if you are here in Lee Summit, where I would assume the significant majority of our listeners are, you're
all.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I don't know. Maybe like your mom lives in Independence or something, doesn't she? Does she listen?
She's in Jackson County.
Okay, well, there you go. So, but in any event, if you're a Lee Summit member or a Jackson County person, you can go to the library board and have your voice heard that way. If you're up in Platte County, you have the additional option of speaking to your elected representatives to handle these appointed positions.
And I think that's just one more reminder that this is how you can have your voice heard. This is how you can have a role in the way things are done in our community. And that's really, I think, the main reason we bring this up.
Right. And you got to keep in mind, I mean, and you have an outsized impact as one person going to the public library board's meetings, where they probably have an audience of like 5 in any given week or any given month when they meet. You showing up, I mean, that's like 20% more people, but 2, you showing up with something intelligible and clear on a point that you want to have an issue with is something that can have an impact on the boards and those organizations going forward, just like you can here in the city.
So check the Mid-Continent Public Library's website for when they have their board meetings. Check your county websites for when their county board meetings are, and you can take part in those and have your voice heard. Jason, there's something else I want to bring up today that is all about people being involved.
You got it. We're trying, I think, during the holiday season to make sure that we are paying attention to the charitable work, the nonprofit work that we do in the community, ways to give back to help people in need in the community, and we wanted to raise those up throughout the course of this holiday season. So what are we talking about this week, Nick?
Today we're going to talk about Zero Reasons Why. It's a campaign that started over on the Kansas side of our metro area, and we
will not hold that against them.
Yeah, I know it's tough, but look, this is a whole thing that has come out of the last few years. Really, an increase in the awareness about suicide prevention and about mental health, specifically when it comes to the youth in our communities, and the Zero Reasons Why campaign has really gone gangbusters over on the Kansas side, and it's starting to come over. We're bringing it into Lee Summit. We're bringing it into Jackson County and the Missouri side of things. And so now what they're doing, Zero Reasons Why campaign is partnering with some of their sponsors, AT&T, Believe Kansas City, the Interurban Art House, and Art as Mentorship. They are doing a call for design concepts for murals that inspire hope and healing. And the call for design concepts is for the Kansas City area middle and high school artists in all 8 counties throughout the Kansas City area. So if you're a middle schooler, you're a high schooler, or you know somebody in middle or high school that's an artist, and you think that maybe they have the skill and a message of hope. When we're talking about youth mental health, we're talking about suicide prevention. You can participate in this. You can go to, Jason, what's that website?
interurbanarthouse.org/prevention mural to get more information on the subject. And there are cash prizes for our finalists, and then some of those designs may get to be put in school buildings throughout the community, and get an additional $500 in get their not only get their artwork up, but get a little extra buck in the metro area. So that's pretty cool as they go. So once again, interurbanarthouse.org/prevention mural to get more information.
You know, Jason, you and I got into talking about this subject almost 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah,
when there were some suicides in our community, and we went and talked to some mental health professionals, and we had a great conversation. And since then, I've been able to serve on a community task force here in Lee Summit about it, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the learning process that I've gone through talking with some of these people and figuring out how to increase conversation about mental health, to increase conversation about suicide and suicide prevention. And this is just one more step, I think, that is going toward that.
Absolutely. And I think that those sorts of things, and it's reducing the stigma, it's making yourself accessible in all kinds of different ways. We respond to different things in different ways. Some people like to talk, some people like to write, some people like to look, respond to visuals and things of that nature. So this is a good way not only to enhance the conversation, but also put in a different form that it may appeal to a different set of people. Speaking
of mental health, I want to give one little shout out, and maybe a little bit of a humble brag, pat on the back for myself. Can I do that?
Oh, Blake, I was going to be able to stop you if I wanted to.
Hey, as chair right now of the Lee Summit Arts Council, I got to lead our annual State of the Arts event last month. And as part of that, we had a local artist, Jamie Lyon, come in, and she brought several 5th and 6th grade students from Westview Elementary in with her, and they worked on a mural, a live painting, kind of as the event went on. And they painted out this cool mural of the word kindness. Last week, Jamie and I and the city's cultural arts manager, Glenda Masters, we all three got to go out to Westview Elementary last week and present this banner that they painted to the school. It's going to hang in the gym at Westview Elementary. And it was awesome to get to call those kids up in front of all of their peers and show off the work that they did and why they did it and how art and all of this stuff is important, and to let them know it's going to hang in that gym every day, not only for when the kids are there, but when the community has things there. There's basketball on the weekends. There's all these things. So that was a really cool thing for me to be a part of.
That does sound cool. Sometimes you get to do fun stuff that I don't get to do because it's like during the day here and I'm across town at work, and I'm a little jealous, but not too much. But in this case, I'm going to go all the way into the little bit jealous for sure on that. So
now comes my time to be jealous of you.
Oh, come on.
Hey, the last thing I want to talk about this week is something about the city and the ongoing strategic planning process called LS Ignite. Jason, you were invited to be a part of this final step in the process, to be a part of one of these C4 committees.
That is correct.
And it was kicked off this week at City Hall. There were probably, 120 different citizens that were involved. Tell us a little bit about what this process is, how you're going to be involved, and what this is going to do, I guess, for the final step of the process.
Sure. Okay. So reviewing the steps that we went through, we had all of the community engagement, and they came up with a new mission and vision statement with Lee Summit, as well as what they called 7 critical success factors. And I couldn't even rattle them all off to you at the moment, but they're out there. And then within that, there were a couple of goals about what the city wanted to do. And they're kind of broad, generic-ish goals. Increase the ability to communicate with diverse audiences, one of the ones that Albee ended up working towards. And what this is now, these C4 committees are for each of those 7 factors. They've put together The C4 in this are city council, city staff, so council, city staff, community partners, so people from the chamber or downtown Main Street or Lee Summit Cares, all those kinds of community partners, and then citizens. And I was asked to participate as a citizen, and I am on the community engagement team. And there are, I would say, about 20 people per that deal, and the council members are on multiple ones, and some of the city staff blend across multiple pieces as well. But that's the basic gist of it. And so we came together, introduced ourselves to ourselves, and had a meeting. We'll be having meetings in, I believe, January, February, and April. And then with the goal of it is to have strategies stated or crafted for May, so that the city council can review and adopt them as part of the strategic plan. And so that's the biggest part of it. And there were 125 people in the room. There's 140-ish people involved in the process. So it's a very big, broad thing. I'm not that special. But
you're not.
I'm not that special, I promise. I get reminded of that nearly every day. So, in fact, I may be really special for often I'm told I'm not special. Ha! There we go. All right. And that whole process will work. And the idea on it actually a little bit differently than they've done in the past, and our city manager talked about this a little bit last night, is instead of it being we're going to create this document for 10 years and then we'll be back in 10 years to see if we, how we've done. And to be clear, Lee Summit's actually done very well on doing the things in its last two strategic plans, but they're creating these strategies are really going to be like 3-4 year strategies with an idea to revisit them to see which ones may need more work or, longer time frames, or which ones we can add or delete or whatever in that process. So
it's interesting for me to kind of hear this twist, because the 10-year strategic planning process is pretty mundane, and it's a pretty set thing that every municipality in the state goes through, right? That every 10 years you revisit your plan, you set a new plan, and then you come back in 10 years. What did we accomplish? What do we need to set for the next 10 years? So seeing somebody, and I say somebody, but I mean the community as a whole there, willing to kind of twist it to say, hey, we're going to tweak this as we go. Mm-hmm. We're going to set some short-term goals, some short-term plans, and every 3 or 4 years come back and make some adjustments. That's intriguing to me. Right. And I don't know that I have a judgment either way. I'm intrigued.
I was intrigued as well, but to hear, for instance, one of the people on my committee is Vic Cundiff, who was one of the chairs of the Lee Summit 360, and she was busy
and who has no shortage of energy.
Right, but she was doing work on that strategic plan for almost the entire 10 years. Right, I mean, she wasn't done for any of that 10 years. So I think the idea of this is we get to do this work for a little while, and then 3 years from now, of the 15 or 20 people in the room that I was in, 8 of them may still be involved or engaged or interested in doing that sort of work, but there's probably another 8 or 10 that want to come in and do that work as well. And so you get fresh energy and fresh ideas. And I think it's an interesting way, because
that's the thing that really gets me. I love, because it seems like a way to continually get and maybe keep people involved. So you're always going out into the community to get more people involved, which is, as you know, Jason, the whole point that you and I get on these microphones every day.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the, I'll say, we've pretty tepid criticism we had of the Ignite process as they went through it, is that there was a lot less direct community involvement in the crafting of the strategic plan, like the skeletal pieces of it, this time than there was for the LS 360. And our city manager Arbo talked about that a little bit, about how that's being done, and clearly that's something that the council wanted to kind of speed up and focus through. But here's an opportunity now for more people to be engaged on the back end of it, really where the rubber meets the road, as we go through that. So to me, that answers that criticism in a way that they may not have been able to answer when we were starting, because they didn't know precisely where we were going to get to. But we're going to get more influence on the backside and more opportunity for more people to get in that way than I think we anticipated when this first started, and that's heartening.
And you said you guys are going to be meeting in January, all these groups. So I hope that maybe we can revisit with you, Jason, and maybe some other people from the other committees revisit in January and February and kind of see where we're at and how this process is going. I hope that others are intrigued as well as I am about how the citizens are being involved in shaping these goals.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And I'll be interested to see how it's going as well. There's always the risk that, a committee sits around and ends up doing nothing. But that's the risk with any committee. But I don't think that's where we want to be. And it'll be interesting to see, kind of that may end up being my job in the back end is like, hey, are we actually doing the thing? And to make sure that we're doing the thing as we go along. So maybe that's my job in this process.
Every committee needs that person.
Oh, the disruptive pain in the butt. It's really my calling.
Yeah. I would say that is your best role. Jason, I think that's really all we've got for this week, but I think those were three kind of good topics to keep in the forefront of people's minds as we move along through these things. We will talk to everybody next time.
All hail.
You have been listening to Lee Summit Town Hall, a Link to Lee Summit podcast with hosts Nick Parker and Jason Norberry. A proud member of the Fredcast Network, you can subscribe to this podcast on most of your favorite podcast apps and catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for all the news, analysis, and conversations on the Lee Summit community. Connect with us on Facebook at Link to Lee Summit or on Twitter at LS Town Hall.